Okay. Chalo, we are live now, so we can start. So Gejo, last couple of sessions, people were asking where were you. So why would you start? Where were you?
Yeah, so my throat is gone. I'm still recovering. So this is like, so and my sound would be a little weird. Okay, that's a problem. Plus, I was traveling, so kind of missed.
Okay.
I think all the RT90 session when I travel back, it's like I'm missing this sort of this life analysis.
Your base has gone up.
Yeah.
Gejo sir is back. Okay.
Okay. Any issue with the PPT, Gejo?
I think Shiv, you have to click on present and share the screen. So you have to select the window and you have to select the PPT presentation. I think
यार मेरे से नहीं होता, मेरे कभी नहीं होता है. एक सेकंड.
अच्छा, एक मिनट कर दो.
जीपी तुम्हारे पास है ना, वो शेयर कर दो तुम.
Let me download the PPT. ठीक है.
मेरा पता नहीं. I think that with this.
Anyway, this particular mock, I think that people would have been slightly happy taking the VARC, and after the test, they would have been worried. Yeah, there you go.
Shivu, have you shared here?
Now it's visible. I think Neha shared it. So.
वो नेहा शेयर किया.
Okay, ठीक है. So I'll not share them. Okay. ठीक है. So let's get started then. Gejo, can you operate or should I operate the PPT?
So I can't, GP. I think Neha is operating. I think that's what's happening.
Okay. No, I have operated it. So ठीक है.
Okay.
I'll take it from here. Okay.
Right.
So this is where we are with respect to the paper. If you look at vis-a-vis the last few years of CAT paper, this is closer to CAT 22 at the 99.5 percentile. At the lower ends, it is not following anyone. It seems overall it seems to be an easier paper than the earlier ones.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Chipku, before we start, any specific input on the design of the paper as to what was the logic behind this paper?
See, I think quantum DI, to we wanted to keep it closer to 2023.
Right.
And so we, I think we wanted it not DI to be a little bit easier than last mock, and quant to be a little more tougher than last mock. That's like one question is the ruler, right? So I think शायद थोड़ा verbal, I think Gejo will share, it has become a little more easier than expected. Am I right, Gejo?
Yeah.
That's where the scores have gone up by a couple of marks.
Yeah, if I look at the paper, obviously DILR vis-a-vis last paper was easier, and this was a paper in which people would have done 2 sets comfortably. At least that's what I believe. And quant, I would say, was I think by and large a paper in which you will be able to do about 10 odd questions comfortably. Yeah. So obviously the scores have jumped, especially at the upper end. If you look at it, that 99 percentile at 88, as compared to last couple of years, slightly higher than even look at 97 percentile. So at every level, it seems to be higher, especially at the 80 percentile level also. So which is why I think that मेरा भी यही था कि most probably English would have given them a couple of extra questions. So 2 to 3 extra questions in English would probably have.
People seem to say that VA was deadly.
VA was deadly.
काफी सारे हैं.
Quant was deadly, VA was deadly. ठीक है, चलो अभी देखते हैं फिर एक-एक करके चलते हैं. ठीक है. Quant इतना deadly तो नहीं लगा मुझे, but let's see. ठीक है, चलो let's go forward इसमें. And section wise, here it is. Probably it will give us some idea as to the section wise kind of a thing. If you look at 99, नहीं, verbal was easy. 99 percentile at 47, VA cannot be deadly. Because normally I would expect 99 percentile to be somewhere around 37 to 40.
Correct.
If
So
I
I
look
think,
at, so there's definitely 3 to 4 questions above that. So
yeah,
no. Okay, so DILR is fine. I think DILR is okay, and Quant is closer to CAT 22, 23. No, 22, not 23. Sorry, closer to CAT 21, 22 kind of a number. So I think this is fine. I think it's essentially the VA 3 extra question in VA, which is creating that kind of a gap, kind of a jump in marks. Yeah.
numbers are misleading, sir. VRC was weird.
It might be weird, but the numbers are in front of us. What is normally a 99 percentile is closer to 94, 95%. 95 percentile से भी नीचे है. 37, 38 is what I would expect a 99 percentile and CAT to be. So if we compare with that, यहाँ पे 39 marks is 95 percentile. So there is a significant amount of, let's say, lowering of difficulty level. But ठीक है, let's give it to Gejo.
Yeah. So you can start with the other, with probably next slide.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, so I think that if you look at sort of this 99, 99.5, it's probably kind of closer to something that happened in 2021. But what has happened is that there is, at even let's say lower percentile, there were considerable number of questions. I'm looking at, for example, 70th percentile. Usually it's about 5-6 questions. That net correct would be what the 70th percentile. So here is almost like 9 questions. So there is definitely about 4 questions more than is usual. I think one thing happened is that there was one question which had an error, which everybody missed. Okay, and therefore I think in that particular question many attempted. There were 2 options which was correct. So eventually people got an extra 3 marks. So there is that 3 marks was because of that. But I think if you go to the next slide, it'll be very clear in terms of it's very.
But Gejo, even if I forget about that one question, in general there's a jump of about 10 to 12 marks at the lower ends.
Correct.
So that is still 2 to 3 question gap is there.
Yeah,
even if we ignore that one, so 2 question का gap तो फिर भी रह जाता है. But let's go to
So what is absolutely fascinating here is if you actually look at the first passage. The first passage is about geographical variation and race created by geography, right? So that's sort of the first passage is. That is a passage that almost everybody attended, almost 80%. And turns out if you look at even the 4th question, even that yellow wala thing, it's like a 59% accuracy.
Yeah.
So it turned out that I think if you look at the number of greens, number of reds, this is the usual distribution that we see in almost all the mocks and even the CAT, right? So you see, for example, how many greens we can see: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 greens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 yellows, and the remaining is red. So if you generally look at the distribution in terms of easy, medium, difficult question, is more or less the same. I think what has happened, a couple of things. The first passage, I believe, is something where I think it's quite possible that I think if you look at the accuracy level, some of the questions are like 70% plus. So so it's very possible that iska jo 12 marks nikal gaya hoga. And what is crazy was the third passage, which is on elephant trunks. Okay, why do the basic passage talks about a study wherein why is elephant trunks is more than nose, why is it very versatile? So if you actually read the passage is very difficult. But if you look at, they're all 3s. It's very lucky that one of the questions, there was an error that people got extra 3 marks. I think that'll be question number 11. But I think that, so I still can't understand why the marks is like what the marks is. Okay, so given the distribution that we have. So there is a second passage which is on this concept, I think it's emergentism. And the last passage was on Russian constructivism. So I think that the moment you see these isms, people just miss the passage. But if you typically look at those people would have probably attempted, let's say 3 passages or maybe 2 passages. If they have probably picked up the first 2 passages, they would have got enough marks. So even if, let's say, assuming that the first 3 passages, you'll probably get 12 marks from passage number 1. Let's say about 8 marks from passage number 2. Even let's say I get 4 marks from passage number 3. So that's about 24 marks already here from RC alone. So this is what this tells me is that if, let's say, if the distribution is like this, if people would have made mistakes in some of these questions in passage number 1 or let's say question number 5, 7, that'd be a real problem. So that is one issue. the so what has happened is, so for example, I think this is something that I explained. If let's say I say A is greater than B, and answer choice says A is greater than B, so that is kind of a direct sort of stuff. But if the answer choice if A is greater than B, answer choice says B is less than A, or A is greater than B, answer choice says A is not equal to B. The moment you have this different framing of options, which is not direct, but still sort of is, I think that is what happened in a lot of these questions that people have made mistakes. Especially, for example, question number 6, I think question number 6 or question number 9, 10, 11. It was a slightly twisted way of representing what is given in the particular passage. And so if it was kind of straightforward, which is what happened in, I've normally seen that these questions about specific function, for example, it says why the example is given. Usually I found that if you look at across the mocks, people make mistake in the question. I think people have learned how to navigate it. So that's, I think some learning has happened, which is good to see. And if I look at the VA story, here if you look at VA, the 2 sentence placement question was crackable. There was one paragraph jumble question, which is number 22, which was crackable. There was one sort of paragraph summary question. God knows why people made mistakes in that paragraph summary question, which is question number 23. And then question number 24 easy. I think that even from VA, it was quite possible to get about 12 marks. So 12 from there, and bare minimum 24, 28 from there. 30. I'm saying it's if you look at across, if somebody would have sort of the passage that is selected, so it's kind of easy. That's why that score, that's it. One thing that I still don't understand is, if you look at question number 20 and 21, those are odd sentence questions. People just don't attempt. I mean, if I look at probability, what is the probability of getting at least one question correct? It will be 1 minus 4 by 5 into 4 by 5, no, Shivku? 1 minus 4 by 5 times 4 by 5, na? Ye hoga, no? My math is okay, no? So there is, out of 5 options, there is 1 correct option, na? So if you get at least 1 correct, is 1 minus none. So that is what? 1 minus 16 by 25. That will be 9 by 5. That is 36%. There is 36% chance. If you simply mark 3, there is 36% chance to get 3 marks in this odd sentence question. I don't know why people don't attempt. So there is, if you look at the attempt wise in odd sentence question, 21, 20, 21, that's about 80%. I don't know what 20% is doing. So there is still about 20% of people who are at least for some reason not attempting VA. They would have struggled. People are, one other thing that I want to highlight, I think this particular paper was just lucky that the passage number 1 turned out had sort of options which was manageable. But the question, the real problem is, look at passage number 3. That's a passage with highest attempt. One of the big problems that happens with BA of the reading comprehension is you just cannot know whether the question is going to be difficult or easy till you start reading the options. So that sort of is a issue that is faced. So what I would sort of recommend here is, if you did not get, let's say, something like 35 plus marks in this particular paper, right, and that will be sort of, so you will have to come back and look at it. So here, if I piche jaye na, just that score distribution. So if you look at, when you have papers like this, so this is like one question pe the percentile jump has happened. So if I compare from what is 75th percentile to 90th percentile, so what is the difference? 27 to 27 is 9 questions. This is 11 questions. That's a what, 2 question difference? No, correct? No.
Yeah. 27 to 24, 2 question difference. Absolutely.
It's a 2 question difference. No. So when you have problems like this, when you have a test which turned out to be like this, every question matters, and you'll have to kind of ask yourself: did you make stupid mistakes? Did you take unnecessary risk? What are the errors that you made? So there is those set of people. I think the highest was 63 here. Okay, I remember. I think somebody got 63 here. I think that then it kind of fell to about 50s. So there are people who are able to get 47, 49, which is great. But you have to remember that if I look at the last 3 years, so even if I look at, let's say, CAT 2018 and stuff, almost all the questions were navigatable, manageable. So I think it kind of opens up the idea that every single test that you take is a fresh test, right? You cannot pre-decide sort of what will be a good score. That even for that matter, if you look at the 3 slots in itself could be different, of different level, especially VARC, because it is very easy to kind of pre-decide a level of difficulty for DILR and QA. it is very difficult to pre-decide a level of difficulty for VRC. The only thing that you can do is create a tough passage, but then eventually it all boils down to how the options are created. So it's sort of very, very difficult to kind of pre-decide what will be the case. So there you go. I think this particular so I'm very shocked and surprised to see what
Gejo,
the,
yeah, the moment I looked at this graph, the first thing which came to my mind was if the sequence of passages was 3, 4, 1, 2, or 4, 3, 1, 2, or 4, 3, 2, 1, probably the score would have fallen significantly. Because there are a large number of students who start by saying I'll do 2 or 3 passages.
right,
And typically you see a fourth passage, the attempts has fallen to something like 40%, 30% actually. While the first passage is 80%, third is 80%, second passage is 55%. So to me, had the sequence of the paper been all different, the scores would have been very, very different. So the students who are saying कि ये मुश्किल था, they are the ones who have possibly gone till the last passage. And the students who are saying ठीक ठाक हुआ, they are probably the ones who don't attempt all RC passages or start by saying I'll do 2, maximum 3 passages. And hence, since the first couple of passages were easy, they have been able to get a good score.
Yeah. So that's true. I think, in fact, in the CAT, everybody is going to get a different order.
Yes.
So it's a kind of there is no solution to this. There is no solution to trying to figure out which is going to be the easy passage. There's no solution to this. I mean,
you can't. That's something which is not possible.
It is impossible. So obviously, the best thing that you can do is which is why, let's say, if you actually look at that particular last passage, I don't know why people made mistake in question number 14 and 16. It was like a crazy mistake. I think the passage had a sort of, I think sort of one question was very painful. The people should not have attempted. That's in the question number 16. There were 2 options which is looking almost the same, and it was kind of looking at the overall summary of the movement. It's also a passage which the author did not give any opinion. It's like a story. They talked about Russian conservatism, uska features kya hai. So it was kind of, they were inspired by Bolshevik revolution, they were anti-aesthetic, they were more mechanical, they were pro-working class. It was a list of all these features. So if let's say that you would have skipped the passage, you would skip the passage, but you'll have to figure out a way in which you want to deal with passages like these, where the opinion is sort of not there. The first passage was sort of a very nice passage to read. The second passage, again, emergentism. I think there are a lot of brave people attempt the particular passage. The idea that that sort of emergentism is something that I have heard for the first time, and I saw this passage in my life. So there are some brave souls who actually attempted. I think what has essentially happened is people decided they'll attempt passage number 1 and 3. Then between passage number 2 and 4, most of them picked this one because that was, I think, and it's kind of turned out to be a little sort of lucky. You're right, GP. Agar wo passage number 1 was a passage number 4, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe something else would have happened. Yeah.
And passage 1 elephant hota to elephant to sabne kiya hi hai. Because they decided elephant something I understand, so let me do this passage. So and that just to interrupt us, and that essentially tells you again you cannot go by the by the subject of the passage to decide whether it is easy or difficult.
If a passage gets fascinating, well, one of the mistakes that people made. Let me just open the passage here. I have the passage number 3 here. I have it with me 1 second. Let me just open this. Yeah. This passage number 3, so basically the passage talks about.
I think we'll have to unshare this one.
No, it's okay, GP. It's okay. I'll just explain. I think for the benefit of, I think people who have read it. Everybody attempted this particular passage. Passage basically says, why is elephant trunk so amazing? Right. The study makes a conclusion is because of wrinkles. Okay. And towards the end, it says, but there are a lot of questions that we don't have answers. Whether it is because of genetics, whether because of blame, that is for further research. Now, the question asks about what is the main conclusion of the study. This is question number 2, which is question number 10 here. What is the main conclusion of the study? One option clearly says elephant trunk wrinkles are present at birth and serve as a specific function purpose, enhancing trunk versatility. And another option says further research is needed to determine the genetic mechanism behind the trunk. So the problem was 60% when I marked answer choice number 4. The question is asking what is the main conclusion of the study, not the main conclusion of the passage, main conclusion of the study. So this is like people making mistakes. I think the sort of which was absolutely strange as to why people would have fallen for some of these traps. So I think this is what I'm saying is very collective stuff. I think it is very, very important that individually you should reflect on. I think redo all the question once again, understand what the problem is. So if let's say this is what the cat is going to be, we cannot be in the situation of getting, let's say, 25 marks and 27 marks because of passages like this when public has, let's say, and you really have to understand where you made mistake and how much of the VA you could have actually taken out. Okay, so that's what I would say. I think my quota of talking is over. I think.
Okay. So chalo, let's move on to the next one then. Okay. DILR. Shashank, Ravi, over to you.
Sir, I would apologize for that. I didn't get time to solve DILR.
अच्छा, चलो कोई बात नहीं. ठीक है.
Yeah.
So overall scores are fairly in line with CAT 23. It seems almost kind of a replica. 1 mark here or there, which is easily, which is hardly any difference. But yes, Ravi, you done the paper. What's your opinion?
So I think DILR mein the sets that would cause problems. I mean, if you look at the paper GP, if you look at the first set, I would just want to see the in next slide. I would just like to see the next slide ek bar.
Yeah.
What I am completely totally unhappy with is the attempts of the first set, honestly saying, because in the first set, at least the first question was worth an attempt. Because
right.
it is basic. It's a basic set theory wala question.
Bilkul.
Only that the table look, and honestly, if you look at the overall paper, if you look at the 4 sets, charo sets mein you didn't have to form any table because table diya tha. Only in the 3rd set you had to make a separate table altogether among the table that above. Leaving the table that was given, you had to make a separate table, and the 3rd set has the maximum attempts. So, I mean, if people are given the simplest representation, I mean, that is where the table is the simplest form of understanding, right? Usme, I think I would have been happier if people would have attempted the first set. In the first set, I would not say all questions were doable, but yes, question 1 was a gift, question 2 was a gift, and question 4 was a gift. There were 3 questions which were gifts. Question 3 and question 5 would require you to work a lot. In fact, I am little thoda sa question 3 mein, Shiva sir, I think a slight change in the wordings would help in question 3. Right? So that is what we're coming to the second set. Second set is
just to add to what you said. Yeah. And my feeling when I saw the set was that this is a set which is giving you likely and somewhat unlikely, etc. When you look at the note, those notes at the bottom, it is categorizing it is those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories into 3 categories.
Correct.
Likely to the top 2 are likely to come. The bottom 2 are unlikely to come and undecided. So it is effectively 3 categories, even though it is given as 5 categories. Secondly, when you look at the question, it is very clear that there will be each question is independent of the other.
Correct.
And the kind of data set where you can always pick and choose. So in this kind of a set, I will start by saying to myself, theek hai, 5 questions are there, but let me see if any question is easy. Let me do those 2, 3 easy questions and not be too worried about the difficult one. This kind of a set of data I will always pick up, maybe as the first set or the second set. And I will always do it purely because I know in such a set there will always be 2 questions which will be very, very easy, and my job is to pick up those 2. And if there happens to be a question which is difficult, I am not going to question it. But this kind of a set should always be done, is my feeling. And which is why, Ravi, I am disappointed that only about 30% of the students attempted this set.
In fact, I totally concur with what you are saying, GP sir. These are easy to solve, easy to leave wala question. Question पढ़ के तो देखो, आया तो solve करो, नहीं आया तो छोड़ दो. So it's not that you are spending 10 minutes in a set and then the questions are totally bamboozling you. ऐसा नहीं है ना, the setup is very minimal. You will take about a couple of minutes or 3 to understand what is given in the setup. Then you read the question, you answer it, or you don't answer it. So I would have liked, I mean, what it shows, only 30% of people attempting this set shows that people are used to solving set theory only using Venn diagrams and equations. That is
Yes.
what first set shows. If people understand the basic logic of distribution in set theory, then the first set would have been doable for people. I mean, the token distribution thing that we teach. That
And Ravi, एक और चीज मैं देखना चाहूंगा. In quant also there was one question of set theory.
yes.
And it was
हाँ,
also
वो गजब क्वेश्चन था सर, मेरे को मजा
और
ही
वो मैं
आया.
देखना चाहूंगा कितनों ने किया है, because if that is also not attempted, what that means is people are only attempting the question which they have done earlier and इस पे कोशिश भी नहीं कर रहे. ठीक है, नहीं आया, round 2 का सवाल तो है, but instead of what I want to what is preferred say what is not preferred करके उल्टा करा तो लोगों को confusion होगी. So this was a set theory, that is a set theory. यहाँ पे तो लोगों ने let's say कि अच्छा काम नहीं किया है. Let's see what happens in that question.
But I think, sir, इसमें why more people have gone ahead and attempted set 2 over set 1 is the nature of the questions. Because nature of the questions wise, if you see set 1, every question says if, right? मतलब if यानी केस बना के तुमको देखना है कि क्या होगा. But in question 2, the first couple of questions are saying what is. So people said अच्छा टेबल बना के बन जाएगा. तो
but मेरा feeling उल्टा था. When I looked at set number 2, my feeling was this is a date in which I'll have to calculate the movement.
Correct.
And this
Movement
has to be
is
done. It has to be done over 4 different weeks and based on 3 different criteria. So to me, personally speaking, it seemed a little more complicated as compared to first set. So my feeling was first set के 2-3 सवाल करो, second set को फुर्सत में देखो. That was my feeling when I was going through the paper. First set, yes, to be attempted. Maybe 2, maybe 3. If I'm fortunate, maybe all. But I was ready with the fact कि इसमें 2 सवाल छोड़ने पड़ सकते हैं. And set number 2, I was clear, should be done later. Though the data seems to suggest that people have found set number 2 to be easier. I was not very comfortable with the second set as such. Yeah.
Correct. So set number 2 is probably something that would not have been my first priority also when I would solve the paper, because I didn't feel like the point you mentioned, sir, कि जहाँ पे movement होता है from here to there, that is where it becomes difficult. The other thing is there are no cute numbers in the table. There is a 234, there is a 261, there is a
बहुत घटिया है.
So it always depends on the speed at which you are you calculate additions and all. If you are an abacus or Vedic maths child, then it is easy for you. For a person like me, it is very difficult unless there are multiples of 10 straight away. So I found that second set would have been the toughest of all. But the question, once you understand the logic of the second set, the questions were not very, very difficult in the sense. And that is evident from the last 3 questions ka performance here. People who made that Jigra and attempted it got those marks, but Jigra failed at the box office. That is what people should understand. Coming to the third set, third was the most doable set in the paper, honestly.
Actually, yes.
Actually, there are only 8 missing values. In a 25 ka grid. Good. Every question is asking you the same thing. I mean, the first question and second question were asking you the same. 230 आना था. तीसरे में there were 2 questions about Babita. So it was a set that could have been done and should have been done. The last question in this set, Shivku sir, I think we have to award marks to everyone in the last question. The question should have asked which of the following is a maybe true. The question has asked definitely false. 3 of the options are definitely false in that. So maybe true should be the question. So 39 ke liye I think we'll award marks to everyone. But that was the most doable set in the paper. Question, the last set on the outset, the moment you look at it, it seems doable. The problem is, it is doable on screen. It is, if you have a pen tab, it is not doable on paper. I went through the solution sheet. पहले क्वेश्चन के लिए 7 बार मैट्रिक्स बनाया हुआ है. मैं बोला यार पेपर पे तो बना ही नहीं पाएंगे. Though it was not a difficult set in terms of the logic of it, but you would have to work a lot on the paper, and that is where the last set would become difficult, and that is probably why people got discouraged in attempting it. But if I think my choice would be set 3, set 4, set 1 followed by set 2 in this paper.
Yeah. And actually, Ravi, when I started the paper, I started with set 3. Then I went to set number 4. Basic table बना लिया कागज पे. Then I realized कि इसमें बहुत काम करना पड़ेगा. Then I realized my line. Then I went back to set number 1, did 3 questions, and then came back to set number 4. So to me, it was 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4. So 2 की तो बारी नहीं आई है मेरे लिए.
Yeah. So I think that could have been a good attempt strategy in this paper. Set 1.
The other thing is set number 4 जो है ना, again something we discussed last time also. If you make a big enough table, reasonable size table on the sheet of paper, you ultimately the number of cases are not too many. Okay, so if I look at 1, 2 to 4, I think 5 cases बनते हैं, if I remember correctly. Okay?
Yes,
but
sir.
so with a big table, it is possible, but it'll still be a little confusing because you will have to you probably get confused कि कहाँ से शुरू करके कहाँ जाना है. So it is a little confusing उसके अंदर. हाँ.
But उसमें ये है ना सर कि multiples of 10 है set 3 में, तो चल जाता है. Even if there are cases.
Set number 3 तो problem ही नहीं है. Set number 3 is a very straightforward. I was talking about set number 4. If you make a big table, that movement from one to another is possible, though थोड़ी confusion फिर भी रहेगी. So if you have to do set number 4, my suggestion again will be make a big table. Don't make it a big, make full use of that sheet because that is the only table which is required. No other calculation required.
Correct. Once you have made the 3 cases, it is look and answer.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it more or less. I think couple of questions, sir. Question 27 and question 39. We'll have to look into the options once.
39 मैंने छोड़ दिया था वैसे, बस ठीक है.
39 है थोड़ा सा खराब क्वेश्चन में से.
ठीक है. So okay.
बाकी तो ये श्वेता जी और फ्रैंक ये सब
फ्रैंक अंडरवुड और श्वेता चलने दो उसको.
ये सब मत करो यहाँ पे.
अपना काम करो यार तुम. Don't worry about what others are doing. Each one of us have our own battle to fight. You are not competing against each other is what you need to remember. But ठीक है. चलो.
But yeah, I would say 8 to 10 questions in this paper is a good attempt only, sir. It is not bad.
I will say set number 3, at least if not 5, 4 questions are definitely to be done. 4 is out there. And then if you pick up set number 1, you'll do another 3 questions. If you pick up set number 4, you'll again do 3 to 4 questions. So 8 to 10 was definitely on. But this was one of those papers you could have gone into the third set also, which means set number 3 will not take too much time. Set number 4, whatever time it will take will be in terms of creating that table. And set number 1, you don't need to create a table. You need to look at the data on the screen and make those calculations what is required. So this was a paper in which I think third set was a possibility. And I'm sure there must be some people who have done 3 sets. That is what should have been the target. Post the analysis, I would say, if you have done only 1 set, you really need to ask yourself, where is it you moved up? And if you have done 2 sets, decent, but ask yourself what you could have done to do the third set also. Where did you waste time? But because again, I'm repeating, set number 3 would not have taken too much time. The numbers are also very convenient.
So Shivku sir, there is one question. Okay, in set number 3, 0 is taken as a multiple of 10, which is not possible. Is it or is it not? Because 0 possible.
0 is multiple of every number, isn't it?
नहीं, उसके अलावा एक और है. देखो, मैं इन चीजों में पढ़ता ही नहीं हूँ. If I don't take 0 as a multiple of 10, तो Q जो था Q का solve ही नहीं हो सकता. Then the only way possible was 10-10 for Q, which was not possible. Q would have given 10 marks to 2 people. which is not possible. The only possibility of 0-20. So when you are taking the paper, na, it's like a ethical या धन संकट में नहीं पड़ना हमको बिल्कुल. We have to be very clear that the condition says that each of those mentors gave a different score to each of the 5 candidates. 0-20 is the or 10-10 is not possible, so the only possibility is 0-20. लिखो, आगे चलते जाओ, दिमाग मत लगाओ ज़्यादा. ठीक है?
Exactly. Shiva sir, you're on mute, by the way. And yeah, coming to, I think, quant, I loved the paper. I took an attempt at quant because I was going through the Telegram group for the last 2-3 days. People were saying quant एकदम खराब है, quant एकदम खराब है. I think quant उसके लिए खराब है जो फॉर्मूले पे डिपेंडेंट है. quant उसके लिए खराब अच्छा है ये वाला जो like जिसका लॉजिक ठीक है. That's what I felt when I attempted the quant paper. There were some very मजेदार questions. I mean, मजा आ गया type वाले questions, which I am pretty sure some students may have left alone. So
कितने attempt कर पाया तुमने?
I could attempt about 14 questions, which is, I think, decent according to the paper.
In this mock, I think it is decent.
Yeah.
I was solving the paper, I realized one point, and that is it was, in my opinion, the paper was easy. And why it is easy? Because there are a lot of questions that are state lead. क्वेश्चन देखो छोड़ दो. तो उसमें टाइम वेस्ट करने वाले बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन नहीं थे इस वाले मॉक. So when I looked for the first question, I got the answer as 2 immediately. Because if you see the first thing, that is something.
GP उसमें पेपर शेयर कर दोगे ना?
एक मिनट मैं उठाता हूँ.
वो तो होना ही था.
हाँ, कि मतलब बेसिकली क्या है कि अगर आप उसको देखो, so that is x plus 1/x का फॉर्म बनता है.
Correct.
Plus 1/x is equal to 2. उसका एक सोल्यूशन है, 2 से ज्यादा पे उसके 2 सोल्यूशन.
Correct.
That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, sir, while taking the live attempt also, what I did is मैं देखा कि 2√2 plus √7 कितना होता है. 2√2 plus √7 गिर के 5 होता है. इधर 30 दिया है, तो ये तो बढ़ेगा ही. तो एक इधर आएगा, एक उधर आएगा, 2 सॉल्यूशन तो आने ही है.
2 आने. Even second question was damn easy. उसमें क्या है कि पूरे को n की वैल्यू m से ज्यादा नहीं हो सकती है, तो दोनों को 60 रख दो. You need to maximize.
Yeah, m equal to n पे maximize हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
I think.
And you know, next question मुझे लगा कि it might be a little time consuming, but मैंने उसमें लॉजिक नहीं
लगाया.
Starting
writing
the
paper. Let me just go to the quant.
उसमें 2 की पावर्स लिखना शुरू कर दी, 3 की पावर्स लिखना शुरू कर दी. जहाँ पे सब मैच कर गया उसको मान लिया.
Exactly. Sir, can you zoom it a little?
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Yeah, fit to size. Yeah.
That's fine.
So the first one is simple जुगाड़ question. उसमें मतलब 2 सॉल्यूशन आने ही थे, दिख रहा था. It is a plus 1/a के फॉर्म में, first of all.
Yes.
Then a power 1 was way less than 30, तो okay. So 2 would satisfy.
Ravi, you'll have to explain why are you saying a plus 1/a का फॉर्म है. Because
rationalize कर लो.
2√2 is 8 and √7 is 7. So
वो दिखता नहीं है लोगों को.
मैं वही बोल रहा था, इसलिए people will not realize that it is a plus 1/a form.
Second question again, m plus n. You had n in the numerator. Yes. You had to maximize n. M plus n is given as 120. So n equal to m equal to 60. Third question, I absolutely loved it. I said 307. The moment I looked at 307, I could see 243 and 64. हो गया था question solve. And I looked at 593. 593 जैसे देखा, I said 512 and 81 बैठ गया. चलो हो गया, set है. Then I saw.
नहीं, अगर वो नहीं भी दिख रहा तो लिख लो ना. Just find powers of 2 and powers of 3, and you will get that. Even if you can't see that.
वही तो करना था.
Yeah. But the point is, even if you look at the second question was a very standard question until that point where n plus n equal to 120. So वहां तक होता, n liters of alcohol तक add करके कुछ और पूछ लिया होता question sir, then people would have been very comfortable solving it. The moment that thing came and maximum possible concentration came, that is where people would have thought कि ये हुआ. I'm not sure whether people have attempted.
Ravi, maximum possible concentration के लिए, I will look at maximum possible alcohol percentage in the second one.
Exactly.
So if it has to be 100%, that means n and m have to be equal to have to be the same.
Right.
वही जो है तुमने बोला ना, n equal to m equal to 60, वही वाला लेके सीधा ही होता है ये.
Even if you look at question 48, it is a very standard question till that certain natural number b.
Yes.
The moment it says कि following which of the following number is a multiple of x and y, that is where it's just one extra step that you have to take to get those 3 marks.
But
Wait,
Ravi,
10% attempt, 10% attempt, 75% accuracy.
कौन सा question 2?
Question 48.
48.
हाँ, but शिपू, उसमें मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. If a person says नहीं समझ आया क्या करना है, छोड़ दिया, it is fine. I would have a problem अगर कल के time waste किया है. So for the students who are looking for standard formula oriented question, I'm sure many of them will leave this. But I'm okay with that as long as they have not wasted time anywhere else.
I wasted time in 49 because I was seeing parallel lines and 90 degree. मेरे को लगा अरे right angle triangle perpendicular वगैरह दिख रहा है. But then later when the question said largest possible area of QTR, I said probably I'm not made for this. Later I checked the solution, अरे similarity से बन जाएगा, which वो time पे I click नहीं हुआ.
Whenever I see a right angle triangle, जहाँ पे ये है that this is something I teach in the class. If you draw a perpendicular in right angle triangle, you are bound to get similar triangle. ठीक है, तो इसमें क्या है कि जब भी right angle triangle है और आपने perpendicular drop कर दिया तो मतलब similarity ढूंढ लो, angle लिखना शुरू कर दो, you will get the similarity. It always happens.
Actually मैं similarity भी नहीं सोचा.
हाँ.
मेरे को तो खाली 3 right angle triangle दिख रहे थे. And if I want to maximize the area of the third triangle, the base and hypotenuse should be as close to each other as possible. So similarity की जरूरत ही नहीं थी मुझे तो एटलीस्ट.
अच्छा हाँ, और वैल्यू इंटीजर होनी चाहिए.
वैल्यू इंटीजर नहीं, इंटीजर की चिंता नहीं की मैंने, बट ठीक है. But that's fine.
ठीक है, तो इंटीजर होनी चाहिए.
If this was a with choices, night would have become very easy.
Yeah. Going to 50 again looks like a standard question. Is not. It's a simple logic-oriented question, which is not very difficult to answer. It's a 1 minute, 1.5 minute question at best. If you look at it, 30 minutes come mein you are doing 60 units lesser work. Another 30 minutes work come mein you have to do another 60 units lesser work, and 14 was the direct answer for it. I absolutely loved 51. Who made 51, sir?
एक मिनट यार, एक मिनट. इसमें question number 50 में एक और चीज है. Look at this way, the tank gets filled in. If 8 identical pipes are pumping, it is 120 minutes. If it is 60, you want it to be 60 minutes, that means that it should become double. 8x minus y.
There is some evaporation also happening, no?
हाँ, so 8x minus y है ना?
हाँ, 8x minus.
So answer should be less than 16.
Answer should be less than 16, correct.
14 ही है.
14 ही है, correct. Yeah. Question 51 I absolutely loved because though it was a box function, I hate box functions, but in the end it was saying how many integer values of n are possible. Then box had nothing to do.
Yeah.
N is an integer. It is given in the question. So n minus 7 into n minus 4 plus 2 is less than n minus 7 plus 2 times of n minus 4. You had to solve for that. You would get 5 and 9 as the bounds, and you will get 6 and 7 as the only 2 possible numbers. It was the bachchaest question in the paper if you just applied your mind and read the question thoroughly. बहुत अच्छा लगा ये question solve करके. This is the first box question that I have solved in the first attempt in my life, by the way. Coming to question 52, again, you had to realize that Ria is a multiple of 2, and Ria's 4 times of Ria is the total. Then the total has to be less than total could be only 4 possible numbers, 8, 16, 24 or 32, क्योंकि 40 से कम होना है. Then you had to just apply simple logic and hit and try, eliminate. It had
If I'm going to get this question in the exam, I won't do it.
I'm sorry, क्या बोला?
If I'm going to get this question in the exam, I won't do it.
तुम्हारा आवाज ठीक से नहीं आ रहा है शशांक.
हाँ, क्योंकि बेसिकली अगर ये क्वेश्चन है ना, so when I'm reading this 52. So because when I'm reading the question, I can understand I'm going to make cases. And if I'm going to make cases, I'm going to take time, at least 2 minutes.
नहीं, but इसमें ना, if you look at, just read this question again. Ria has twice as many books as Sam, so Ria is even. Okay.
Ria is even.
Ria is
Ria
even.
is the average.
And Ria is the average. And these are 4 distinct numbers. So
X
Ria,
total 8x.
Ria cannot be 2. Ria can either be 3. Ria can be either 4, 6, or 8.
Correct.
There are only 3 possibilities. And you need to check that. And if Ria is 4, 6, 8, the total will be 16, 24, or 32. Okay. So this was a straightforward question. Cases hai. I'm not saying cases are not there. But the numbers are very simple. We are look at small numbers, 4 and a total of 16, 6 and total of 24, 8 and a total of 32. Okay. And secondly, you don't need to do all the 3 cases also. If first case satisfies, that has to be the answer because it's one answer is possible. If first 2 cases don't satisfy, the third case is the answer.
In fact, 32 is directly out of question because 8 plus 4,
Yes.
12. The remaining 2 numbers have to be 20. हो ही नहीं सकता.
हो ही नहीं सकता.
All are distinct, so हो ही नहीं सकता. So you only had to check eventually for 16 and 24 in that question.
That's right. And अगर 16 पहले चेक कर लिया तो 24 पहले चेक कर दिया तो वही आंसर हो जाएगा. But ऐसे सवालों में बहुत क्लियर है. If there are 3 cases, the worst cases in the worst situation you need to check for 2. Because if 2 don't satisfy, the third one is the answer. Just one answer. अच्छा, उसके अलावा एक और चीज है यार, ये तो दिख जाता है ना, the answer भी either 16, 24 or 32. कोई एक लिख दो ना, worst case में टीटा है.
That I will do. मतलब मैं ये करा. When I was reading this question, I thought कि case है. I thought of 3 or 4
केस तो है.
Time लगेगा, इसलिए मैं नहीं करूँगा. But I generally tend to attempt the question that I figure out I can finish in less than 70-80 seconds. इस क्वेश्चन में I am thinking, I thought it will take time.
Question 53 का क्या है शिवको? Can you check what is the percentage attempt together in question 53?
मेरे को देखना है 53 का.
आसान क्वेश्चन नहीं है, बहुत आसान.
53 है.
हाँ.
53 is 40% attempt, 80% accuracy.
Wow. 80% accuracy. I'm happy that I'm disappointed with 40%. Though it is better than that 10% that 25-30% attempt of first set of DI.
Yeah. I think 53 is 53 is basically a question in which if you just read it like, in a school, number of students who do not participate in science club is 15 more than who participate in the math club. If you just read it, number of people in math club is 15 more than science club. Right. It was game over.
Ulta bus.
In that sense.
But Ravi, you could have straight away made the Venn diagram for not participating.
Yeah.
But
and question 54, 1.6 lakh existed for no reason there.
Absolutely.
I solved this question and I think this is the question I got the fastest. This and one log question. पहला आदमी एनुअल है तो उसका 20% है, दूसरा आदमी का हाफ ईयर है तो 10%, 21%, तो दोनों का एवरेज 20.5 है, राइट. थर्ड के में थोड़ा ज्यादा होगा तो 20.5 से थोड़ा ज्यादा एवरेज बढ़ेगा, तो एक ही ऑप्शन.
इसमें शिवको जिसने चॉइसेस बनाया ना, he or she should not have put 22 point. Choice 1 was a very incorrect choice to give. But
directly out.
21 भी नहीं बनेगा.
21.5 is the maximum in any case. So, but okay.
Now 55 onwards is where the paper takes a sharp turn into questions that are not doable. I mean, it's not 55 is not impossible.
No, इसमें cases बनेंगे.
बैठ के केस बनाएंगे.
Easy. And you know, Padani, I think I am lucky or what. I have been solving questions in last few days, and as soon as I saw question number 56, this question clicked me immediately. If I read the question, it is 1 upon a cube plus 3 upon a square plus 3 upon a plus 1. That is 1 upon a plus 1 whole cube. Second one is, this is, let's say, cube root of this is this. So अगर इसको देखो, so this is a square plus a plus 1. तो अगर a minus 1 से मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे तो अपना a cube minus 1 आ जाएगा.
यार इसमें मेरा बहुत सिंपल लॉजिक है. पहले my answer has to be more than 2024. A is positive. ठीक है, दो चॉइस निकल गई. आंसर है 25 और 26.
That is exactly what I tried to do in the paper also. I said, okay, if the answer is 2025, I'll equate this to 1 and see.
नहीं, वो भी नहीं किया. रवि, उसका अच्छा एक बात बताओ. What is cube root of 2?
Cube root of 2 वगैरह तो नहीं पता.
1.2 around.
12 cube क्या होते हैं? 12 cube is 1728. 13 cube is about 1.7 के करीब आ जाएगा. 1.8 के करीब आ जाएगा. And cube root of 4?
Cube root of 4
will be 15 cube. 15 cube is 3375. 16 cube is 2496. 1.6 and what was cube root of 2? We just calculated 1.3, 1.25. These two are adding up to about 1.8. Sorry, 2.8 plus 1, 3.8. A will be not more than 4.
Yep.
A will be, take A as a 4. 3 by 4 plus 3 by 16 plus 1 by 64 will be less than 1 year or just around 1. Answer 2026 नहीं हो सकता, 2025 है.
Correct.
I went back to my basic funda. Arithmetic करेंगे, algebra नहीं करेंगे, इसकी approximate value निकाल लो.
कैलकुलेटर से कर सकते थे.
हाँ, देखो मेरी कैलकुलेशन थोड़ी सी ठीक है because I remember these numbers. But calculator you could have used. All you need to do is 1.6 into 1.6 into 1.6 कितना आता है? Similarly, 1.12 cube is 1728. 13 cube most people would be aware. So 1.25 ले लो. So 1.6 plus 1.25, 2.85 plus 1, 3.85. Now you take this as 4 or whatever number. Okay. Even if you take as 3.85, all you need to do is use the calculator after that.
Yep. 57 was a very standard question again.
57,
until you saw that inversely proportional.
But Ravi, after we have done that CAT paper, जिसमें वो हमने बात किया है, I would have thought people will attempt this question because it's.
I was saying कि इस क्वेश्चन में when I was reading this question, इस क्वेश्चन में ये लिखा हुआ है कि speed is inversely proportional to time. ये तभी होता है जब distance constant होती है.
Correct.
I have taken all equal distances.
हाँ, वही करना है.
That's what happens in the question.
And when I was reading question number 58, I immediately marked the answer.
हाँ, 58 सबसे अच्छा क्वेश्चन था ये. Beautiful question. 5/3 के अलावा कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता.
X की वैल्यू
20% attempt है.
वैल्यू 1/5, 1 power something is equal to 1 power something. That's it.
मैंने सीधा 5/3 को सब्स्टिट्यूट करा, x equal to 5, y equal to 3 सब्स्टिट्यूट करा, सब कुछ सेटल हो गया. अगले सवाल पे चलो.
I tried solving it in the paper. मैं थोड़ा सा काम किया, मेरे को लगा बहुत लंबा बनने वाला है, मैं छोड़ दिया. लेटर मेरे को क्लिक किया कि y का वैल्यू तो 3 है, दिया हुआ है चारों ऑप्शन में. y का वैल्यू 3 डाल के देखो x कौन सा सेटिस्फाई करता है, मिल जाएगा आंसर.
रवि वो भी नहीं करना है. देख सब जगह 5 क्वेश्चन के अंदर everywhere you have 5 and 3 only.
Correct.
So you should check choice 2 straight away. Take x equal to 5, y equal to 3.
मैंने सबको 1 बना लिया. मैंने बोला 1 पावर, अगर पहला स्टेटमेंट देखो तो 1 पावर समथिंग इज इक्वल टू 1 पावर समथिंग. तो x is 1/3, y is equal to 1/5, x by y 5/3. और उसको सेकंड में रख के देख लिया, मेरा आंसर मैच कर. That's what I did.
Yep. 59 again was a simple doable question. ऐसा कुछ ज्यादा है नहीं उसमें. You just had to take those numbers. 5, 4 and 6 is 15x. 105, you can check it, 105 or 120, in both cases you'll get the same answer.
Yeah.
12 chances required. 60 made it very difficult for me. I'm still not sure how to solve it. 60, I'll have to check again.
Oh, 60 मेरे पास पुराना पेपर है. I think क्वेश्चन चेंज हो गया.
चेंज कर दिया मैंने.
हाँ, चलो कोई बात नहीं, देखेंगे इसको.
लास्ट मिनट में चेंज कर दिया उसको.
60 is lengthy. You have to spend a lot of time.
नहीं, लेंदी नहीं है. Once you write the equation, you should be aware of the standard equation.
Yep.
हाँ, वो मतलब लेकिन उस इक्वेशन को बना के क्वाड्रेटिक जैसा कुछ बन रहा है. So I thought it is going to take time. So in the exam I will not do it. Question number 61.
In the exam
61 करेंगे ना?
हाँ, 61 तो definitely
करना
करो.
चाहिए.
आप मुझे मारो क्वेश्चन.
कि मतलब 100 से 170 हुआ, 20% डिस्काउंट करके 136 हुआ और 15% कम दे रहा है, तो मैंने 36 में 15 ऐड कर दिए, ज्यादा सोचा नहीं. सो आई गॉट वैल्यू
51 से ज्यादा होगा.
51
Because your profit, because of the faulty balance, your profit will be 15 by 85, which is more than 15%.
Yep.
So and there will be two successive increments of 36% and more than 15%. So 51 से तो ऊपर ही होगा. 62 should not having a problem. 62 तो standard सवाल है.
62 is a very standard question. Yeah.
And not only that, you can see 11 and you can see 11. Starting point भी मिल गया.
और दोनों एपीज का कॉमन डिफरेंस
12 more than 3 है ना. 12 पे plus 11 हो गया.
Yep.
And n by 2 into a plus L.
63 is also a standard question only in terms of area of the mod.
Graph.
So the only thing is the mod was negative in this. I mean, mod के
नॉन
पहले
नेगेटिव का ग्राफ उल्टा हो जाएगा. That's it.
64 and 65 would require working. Not immediately doable. ऐसा कोई बहुत खास ऐसा जुगाड़ टाइप मेरे को कुछ सूझा नहीं इसमें.
ये 65 में ये तो सामने दिख जाता है, आंसर 7 से ज्यादा होगा. 9 या 10 में से है, बट उसके बाद कम करना होगा.
What threw me totally off is x and y be non-zero distinct real numbers. मेरे को ऐसा क्वेश्चन में दोनों सेम होना मांगता, नहीं तो नहीं बनता. So, मैं तो पहले सोचा ठीक है सेम लेके देखते हैं क्या होगा, तो ऐसा नहीं बनना था.
सेम लेगा तो आंसर तो 4 हो जाएगा ना.
4 हो जाएगा.
सेम लेगा तो क्वेश्चन की वैल्यू ही खत्म हो गई है, क्योंकि y by x plus x by y 2 हो जाता है.
Yeah. The point being, I mean, if you look at all these, if you look at 66, that 20% was not relevant at all, because the ratio of speeds would remain the same. But the point being, there were about 13, 14, 15 questions that everyone could have solved in this paper. However, even for those, I mean, you had to just think one step extra from the things that you know already. For out of 7, 8 of those questions, GP sir, out of those 13, 14 that we concluded were solvable, doable easily, usme bhi you would have to work your way around. Like for example, in 66, normally people are used to solving questions of these people crossing each other. But the moment it came that after 20% come ho jayega, then the working becomes longer. If you don't
this was a jugaad. I made a pattern out of it.
Yep.
I'll put it in the jugaad solution. But इसमें मैंने कोई calculation नहीं की. Initially, they are meeting on one side towards y 18 kilometers. Next time they meet 9 kilometers on the from the other end. इस बार उधर ही मिलेंगे यार. 9 के इधर कम हुआ, उधर वो होगा. मैं तो सीधा y मार्क कर दिया था. मैं कहा पैटर्न फिट बैठना चाहिए.
Yep. Or you could have assumed speeds and found out the distance also. That it could also have been done. But the only thing that will throw people off guard in this question is that 20%. Right? उसमें अगर तुम speeds reduce करते चले गए, क्यों? The ratio of the speeds is still going to be the same. No one is asking you about the time in which they are meeting. So the points of meeting are going to be the same only. So that is a logically घुमाया हुआ क्वेश्चन. सेम 63 के साथ भी it is the same problem. It is a logically घुमाया हुआ question. If you look at 60, if you could go up, out of the questions that we have decided, it is easy. Now a lot of people in the comments are saying, why are these people portraying like it is a cakewalk? Let me tell you, see, I'm not claiming it's a cakewalk. A cakewalk. I'm saying 66 could have been done, 63 could have been done. Go up थोड़ा सा सर इसमें.
हाँ नहीं रवि एक काम करते हैं. Let's go through the first. Let's look at this. Let's see which are the question one should have definitely done. 46 definitely done. Forget about 45 for a minute. ठीक है. 47. All you need to do is write powers out 2 and 3. 2 questions definitely to be done. Leave question 48. Leave question 49. 50 definitely to be done. 3 questions. ठीक है. 51. Greatest integer function. Because integer solution.
It will throw people.
Leave that. Leave 51. 52 definitely should be attempted 4 questions.
Correct.
Okay. 53 again I would say all you need to do is instead of how many are from math club, just work at the way it is written. You can solve it. If you can reverse it the way it can be done faster. Yeah. So 5 questions. 54 is a definite to be attempted 6 questions. Yeah. Now let's look at this. 56 को है अगर तुम कैलकुलेटर यूज करोगे तो हो जाएगा. सामने दिखता है आंसर मोर देन 2.
कैलकुलेटर में क्यूब रूट नहीं निकलता ना सर, तो प्रॉब्लम
यार नहीं निकलता, बट मैं 1.2 into 1.2 into 1.2 तो कर सकता हूँ.
या
ठीक है. एंड इफ यू रिमेंबर योर बेसिक क्यूब्स 12 क्यूब 13 क्यूब तो भी हो जाएगा. बट ऑल आई एम सेइंग इज अनदर क्वेश्चन व्हिच कुड हैव बीन डन इजीली इफ यू वर विलिंग टू यूज योर कैलकुलेटर. सो दैट इज 7 क्वेश्चंस की 6 क्वेश्चंस 6. ठीक है. ये चलो छोड़ देते हैं, लोग को उसमें कंफ्यूजन आ जाएगी. 59 हो जाएगा 7 क्वेश्चंस.
यस.
लीव 60. 61 definitely 8 questions.
8 questions.
62 9 questions. Leave the other questions. Okay. Okay. Even if you leave the other question, there are 9 questions which are definitely to be attempted. So it is not the cakewalk, but there are 9 questions, and we have chucked out all those questions which are confusing. We have not looked at question 66, for example. We have not looked at the other questions. या फिर ये जो ये वाला question है. So if not 9, at least 8 questions are available which can be solved in this paper. So that is what is the issue. That is something which I think students need to understand, that there was sufficient number of questions which you could have attempted in the paper.
Even if you keep these 9 questions aside, there were 5 to 6 other questions in the paper in which if one would have been ready to go one step outside his or her comfort zone, they would have solved it.
Yeah.
By just understanding the logic by which the question has been framed, they could have solved it.
And again, if you look at 9 questions or 8 questions, 24 marks would have been 95 percentile. Sorry. Okay. In this paper, 9 बोल रहे 9 का 8 ले लो, 24 marks would have given you 95 percentile. So we need to put things in perspective always. It is not a cakewalk, but there was sufficient, but it was not a difficult task to get a 90 to 95 percentile at all. If you had to go to a 99 plus or 99 even, you needed to go outside your comfort zone. But to get a 95, 90, it was definitely doable. So when you're, as a student, when you're analyzing this paper for yourself, you need to ask yourself which of these 8-9 questions you missed and why. Because that is where you have lost marks. If you have done those questions which Ravi is saying you needed to move out of your comfort zone and miss this E8 question, then it is not acceptable. These 8 plus another 3-4 is what was required in this paper.
If you can go to the next slide, I just want to see how many greens are there.
Yeah. We have not seen that graph. Not bad, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
प्रॉब्लम ही है ना सर कि if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4 of those greens are less than 50% attempts.
Yes. Look at this now. Question number 46. Question number 48 is just about 10% attempt. Question number 50, 55%.
Yeah, 46 and 46, 48.
Only 6 questions have 40% plus attempts.
So challenge वही है इसके अंदर 50.
I would like to say something in this. Okay, I think I've been part of last 3 or 4 mock analysis. In every analysis, we say the same thing. कि क्वेश्चन पढ़ो, ऑप्शन पढ़ो, नहीं चमक रहा है छोड़ दो. So even when I was talking about that particular question, वो उस टाइम पे मुझे लगा कि केस बनेगा, वो लेंदी होगा, तो मैं छोड़ दूंगा. लेकिन if you see people even in easy questions, people are solving without using options. जहाँ पे दिख रहा है वहां पे भी कर रहे हैं. और मुझे लग रहा है कि we are going to say the same thing till CAT.
नहीं देखो वो तो रियलिटी है, because it would be incorrect to say that even when we take papers we don't make mistakes.
Yep.
ठीक है, as Shashank, you just pointed out that you missed out on an easy question because you thought it would make cases. Ravi said very clearly उसने 2 सवाल मिस किए, मुझे मालूम है, मैं मिस करता हूँ. So the approach that I'm trying to take from a student perspective is, if you keep reminding them, hopefully this will come down that you will miss maybe one odd easy question. And secondly, you will not be afraid of trying the question which looks doable. Okay? You will at least start doing that and not get stuck only to the comfort zone कि ये मेरा formula is formula से एक कदम आगे नहीं जाना. So yes, we'll probably keep saying the same thing till CAT, but I think वो जरूरत है भी.
But I think why the paper is close to 2023 level is because of the reds that there are. Now there are about 10 greens, all right, but there are about 8 reds in the paper. That is where it becomes a thoda sa difficult. And reds mein the typical number of attempts is also low. Reds mein typical number of attempts is low. At least people are leaving out questions which they should leave, but I think people are missing out on questions which they should solve. Out of the 10 greens, only 5 of them have upwards of 40-50% of attempts that are there. So
I think people are improving in leaving the question, but if they improve time as well in leaving the question, that will boost their score. क्योंकि पेपर के बाद सबके 45 से 50 नंबर आ रहे हैं.
correct.
ठीक है, अगर वो पेपर में वो थोड़ा सा जल्दी छोड़ना शुरू कर दें, so basically they won't even, if you see, I think people know a lot, they have studied a lot, they have worked hard a lot. The thing is, वो छोड़ने वाला जो है ना, वो थोड़ा सा मुझे लगता है इशू होता है. Even I was teaching in today's class, and you know what happened? I told in LR कि LR I was teaching LR in today's class, तो मैंने बोला कि एक काम करो, सेट पढ़ो, फिर क्वेश्चन पढ़ो, फिर फिगर आउट करना कि सॉल्व करना है या नहीं करना है. ठीक है, उसके बाद मैंने 20 सेकंड के बाद देखा पूरी क्लास पेपर पहन लेके कुछ कर रही है. मैंने कहा इतनी देर में तुमने सेट और क्वेश्चन दोनों कैसे पढ़ लिए? ठीक है, तो फिर कहते नहीं सर पढ़ते. उसके बाद वापस से 3 सेकंड बाद फिर से सबने पेन उठा लिया, तो मैंने सबके पेन ही ले लिए. मैंने बोला नहीं, पहले पढ़ लो. सो आई थिंक इट इज वी हैव टू पुश अ लॉट कि मतलब नहीं यार, यू नीड टू फिगर आउट कब करना है, कब नहीं करना है. So emphasis should be on leaving as well as मतलब आप देखो easy questions में लोगों के आंसर भी सही आए हैं. मतलब we can't say कि उनको आता नहीं. Students are working very hard, they know a lot. उनको बस एक चीज पे फिगर आउट करना है कि when what is the last point when they are going to leave a question. बस बाकी तो समझ लेंगे लोग. They're smart.
Yep. I think वही है कि मैं बोला ना, वो जो greatest integer वाला question, you just had to step out of your comfort zone for 1 second and think. That is what is the problem with most of these questions which were not attempted, probably. And in fact वो number of triangles वाला question 55 वो red है ही नहीं, मतलब वो ग्राफ ही नहीं है उसका.
I am very happy about it. मतलब लोगों को समझ में आ गया कि कुछ करना ही नहीं है इसमें.
नहीं, people attempted. No, 25% people attempted it. 0 accuracy.
20 question 55, 25% have attempted that question.
Yeah, and 0 accuracy in that. So that is a question that is on the outset a time-taking question. Why do it? मतलब बहुत ही time-taking question, and it is not even like एक question होता है ना सर कि So there are two types of time taking questions, Shashank sir. One is that in which A1, A2, A3 are given and AN is given, and they are AN ka formula is given and they are asking you to find 8A100. That is a time taking question, but you'll get one pakka fixed answer. Find the number of triangles possible which are integral sides with no side greater than or equal to 12. Less than side greater than 12 is also a time taking question, but which doesn't have a fixed answer. I mean, you will always
number of solution का question and it doesn't have an option. मैं exam में कभी नहीं करने वाला.
Exactly, that is the problem. There were a couple of questions in this paper which were number of solutions. The first question, but because it was exponents, there had to be only two possibilities. क्योंकि y equal to 30 तो एक लाइन है, वो दो जगह कट करेगा वो ग्राफ को. So there were only two possibilities for that, and then there was one more, that greatest integer function. I understand that dabba will throw you off, that dabba will off your mood, but think out of the dabba, you'll get the marks there.
In log question I assume कि 1 की power कुछ भी होगा तो same होगा. So x 1/3 होगा, y 1/5 होगा और खत्म हो गया कुछ. ठीक है, तो वो सोचने का नजरिया जो है वो थोड़ा सा ठीक है, सबका अलग.
तो रवि अगला वाला मॉक क्या करे?
अगला वाला मॉक मैं बोलूंगा सर, आप थोड़ा सा DILR ना थोड़ा सा हल्का कर दो, थोड़ा सा. लोगों को अभी क्लोजर टू द कैट एक आध मॉक इंस्पिरेशन चाहिए उनको कि हाँ बन जाएंगे 2 सेट पेपर में. दो सेट बनने लायक थे, but 2 सेट पेपर के अंदर पूरे बनने लायक नहीं थे. That's the problem. No, third set is doable. Okay, completely agreed. Fourth set is doable if you leave the first two questions. Because first two questions ask you to work a lot.
कैट में क्या 2 सेट completely doable होते हैं क्या?
See, in my experience, I have from 2020 onwards, I have 2021 onwards, 21, 22, 23, in the 3 years, I have never got one set completely correct in the CAT. No one set completely correct in the CAT. Last year, a year before last year, I solved out of 13, 14 questions, but those 14 questions were from 4 different sets. Because I felt कि इससे ज़्यादा इसमें मार्क नहीं आएंगे, इससे ज़्यादा इसमें मैं मेहनत करना वर्थ नहीं लग रहा था मेरे को. So I left. So it is okay. So it will be great if the panel members are more emphatic towards the paper. My friend has 99.5 and still finds some LR difficult, but the panel makes it seem everything is a cakewalk. No, we didn't say LR was a cakewalk. I just said fourth set was doable, but it was doable on screen. It was not doable on paper. Multiple cases वो paper में हमेशा बनाना, it becomes very difficult. और emphatic का मतलब क्या?
Even for the first set, we were very clear that 5 out of 5 is unlikely to happen. 3 out of 5 will happen. Yeah, ऐसा नहीं है.
I think it is not so much about our opinion. The data says what it says. That's it. So the data is king. If there are people who have got, I mean, at scores of 33, people have got 99.5 percentile. That's what it is. Let's say for quant or DI में 29 पे 99.5 है, बस वो सच्चाई है. सच्चाई के साथ अब ओपिनियंस लेके करेंगे क्या?
अच्छा हो गया.
मतलब अगर ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि लास्ट ईयर ये लोग कैट वालों को ही ब्लेम करना शुरू कर दें कि कितना डिफिकल्ट क्वांट बना दिया. ठीक है, तो वही कह रहा हूं, वो थोड़ी है. I think we are trying different variations के मतलब जो है कि क्या पता क्या हिट कर जाए, and everyone should be comfortable with all the possible variations. क्योंकि एग्जाम में क्या है.
रवि एक चीज बता, I think even शशांक, कि लास्ट टाइम नॉर्मली हर कैट में एक तो बहुत सीधा साधा LRDI तो मिलता ही है, राइट? क्या लास्ट टाइम was it a little more difficult to get that? Because I'm coming across a lot of students.
No, I mean, in the first slot there was this mean median set doable definitely. In the second slot also there was this mean median set doable separate definitely. So 2 out of the 3 slots there was one mechanically doable set definitely.
And that is mean median देख के आप भाग न जाए.
Yeah.
And every year I have attempted एक LR का set तो मैंने complete किया ही है. उसके अलावा I have solved multiple questions from different sets. So I'm always at 5 plus 3 plus 3 or 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 something like this. So मैं हमेशा एक set तो कर ही रहा हूँ. उसके अलावा वो हो जाता है. ठीक है. और QA में when I was writing since 2019 and 2019 I attempted whole paper in 45-50 minutes. I got 4 wrong. In 2022 I attempted whole paper and I got 4 wrong. And last year I was thinking कि ये jinx खत्म हो कि 4 गलती हो रहे हैं हर बार. So last year my jinx ended. I got 5 wrong. my attempts were little higher, so I got a reasonable.
अच्छा क्या IMC है इसलिए difficult quant बनाएगा? मुझे नहीं लगता.
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं.
ये सब हवा है, rumors है, ठीक है. And go
Last
back
year
in history, go back in time. It's not as if whenever IMC has made a paper, the quant was tough. I think ये सब बोलने के लिए stories है और कुछ नहीं है. In fact,
Yeah.
Lucknow makes probably tougher papers than IMC does.
Yes.
Last year Lucknow ही था ना.
हाँ, last year Lucknow ही था. And
लेकिन
लखनऊ के पेपर्स हमेशा टफ होते हैं.
and I have a still belief कि क्वांट कुछ भी आए पिछले साल से तो आसान आएगा.
100%. मैं तो इसमें
If I find locus again in the paper, then I am quitting.
You quit that question ना. तुम क्यों quit करोगे?
क्या मैं पेपर में slot 1, I think among all the faculty team who does this analysis, I was the only one in slot 1, I think, last year. And the
Correct.
moment I came out, I saw those kind of questions, I came out and said, danger hai quant. Because there were 5-6 untouchable questions. But that didn't mean that the remaining 17 questions were higher level of difficulty. No. The remaining 17 questions were normal only, which one had to pick in the paper. That's the clue. That's the key. Locus is literally easiest if you know what locus is. I don't know what locus is.
Correct.
So, ठीक है. So I found it difficult.
Ultimately, my logic is very simple. Out of 22 questions, you'll probably need to leave 7-8, if not 10 to 12 questions. So जिसको locus आता है उसे locus करने दो, जिसको नहीं आता उसे locus छोड़ दे दो. Okay. So we don't need to get into that part की कौन सा है. Ultimately, there are few questions. Let's say every paper, if you look at the last few years CAT papers and even earlier, there are about 1/3 questions which are standard questions, as we saw in this paper also. There were about 8 questions which anyone should have solved. Those 8 are the ones which everyone has to solve. Beyond that, it is your preference which will come in.
Absolutely.
GP Kashish has been asking this question again and again.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a problem. I used to get 50 to 60 marks. वही वाला. But from the past 4 mocks, my marks are getting into 40s, 30s and 20s. What should I do? मैं तो बोलता हूँ take a break.
अब वो भी हो सकता है, but कशिश कॉल करके बात कर लो यार. I don't know what the issue is. Very little data to suggest क्या हो रहा है. Most probably it is what Shivko is saying, which means ज़्यादा pressure डाल दिया है. You are becoming extra careful. You are trying to make sure that you do the paper in a perfect manner. And when you search for perfection, the exactly opposite happens. Okay. So just relax a bit in the paper and be willing to make mistakes. It should be fine. Otherwise, कुछ और बात करना है तो you can always call me and have a discussion.
And sometimes it is important to break the fall. If you're constantly falling, take a break. एक दो टेस्ट बंद कर दो, so that you get back to, or you're no longer are fearful about taking the test.
Or you can try solving CAT 2017.
नहीं छुट्टी ले लेने दो उसको कि मतलब 2-3 दिन छुट्टी मत करो, कुछ मत पढ़ो. बहुत पढ़ लिया, ठीक है.
2018 क्वांट पेपर कैसा था?
17
नहीं, वो आशी का कोई क्वेश्चन है.
The year when 99 percentile went to 173 marks, 2017.
I know, I remember that.
It was difficult.
Sorry. Yeah. Vaibhav, we have shown you in this paper, there were 8 questions. I'm assuming तुम quant की बात कर रहे हो, Vaibhav. Okay, so the issue is you need to go back to the paper and check out where is it you're making mistake. Okay. Okay, so
Two questions correct with 100% accuracy. Vaibhav, I hope you're serious.
नहीं यार, 2 क्या तो 3 भी 100% accuracy ले लेकर कोई फायदा नहीं है. You do 10 questions with 60% accuracy, you are better off. Okay. So the issue above you need to look at is, are you attempting those questions which others are leaving? Those Z वाले questions जो तुम उनमें ही तो नहीं थे, and because of which you are leaving those easy questions. See, if you attempt those difficult questions, you will not have time for the easy question. That is the basic logic which you need to work with. Yeah. ठीक है, चलो.
Chalo, okay.
चलो, we'll
bye.
close it. Okay. चलो, good night, and बाकी अगले हफ्ते फिर मिलेंगे. Okay then, good night.
Okay.